Welcome to Beating Cancer Daily. Beating stage 4 cancer for 30 years still takes my breath away every time I say it. I'm Saranne, founder of the Comedy Cures Foundation, and I hope you'll join me for just a few minutes daily for the next 365 days so we may laugh, learn, maybe cry a little as we live our best days beating cancer daily together.
Do you have social jet lag? Have you heard that term? I love it. I have the opposite of social jet lag. I haven't come up with a good phrase for that yet, other than I always say people are my oxygen, and I get more energy when I'm around a lot of people or a whole day and night of people. I just want to have more people. And so since I live with people who get social jet lag, I really wanted to have this conversation with Jacqui Bryan, our functional medicine expert, whole health educator, certified health coach, RN, because this is something that comes up in my own household. We are on such different schedules. We just approach eating differently. And so, Jacqui, I know that every family isn't going to be able to achieve the exact schedule, but I think in healing, it's really important that we start to look at what is our schedule? How are we listening to our bodies or not listening to our bodies in crafting a situation where we can really be primed for wellness and great self-care? So welcome back to Beating Cancer Daily.
Hi, Saranne. Thanks for having me. This is a good topic, and I've had it in the past, and many of us have experienced it, and I think it's an important thing to talk about, and it could be like a 5-hour podcast. That's how in-depth it is.
That's exciting because I love when there's science behind a conversation that we're going to have that you wouldn't think there was science behind it.
Yeah, and I actually think it's something that's growing. Like it's a field that we're learning more about, and I'm learning more about. I mean, I did researches like I pulled up 25 different studies on PubMed about social jet lag as I was doing the research on it, and it's actually similar to jet lag. And so if you've ever experienced jet lag, it's really just this circadian misalignment, and the term social jet lag was actually coined by a German scientist, Till Roenenberg, and they defined it as a discrepancy between work and free days. So like work days and weekends. And what's interesting is even people that are retired can get this, but it's looking at the social and biological clocks and time. So you actually have 3 different clocks that your body is governed by. You have like the social clock that organizes our lives with local time. You have a biological clock that controls your physiological time, which is your circadian rhythm. And then you have the sun clock that defines natural light and darkness.
I never thought of it that way, honestly. And we did a really cool episode on jet lag and how to travel smarter so that you don't take that big hit on your circadian clock. And I even give a tip of how to use the sun to reset, but I've never thought of it in terms of 3 clocks.
Yeah, the more misaligned these clocks are, the higher our odds are of developing certain diseases. And while the science is actually still evolving, I don't know about you, but if there's an inclination that social jet lag could be leading me down a path towards ill health, then I really want to address it, right? Social jet lag is actually just looking at the difference between the local time and our circadian time. And if you think about it, how often does your social calendar interfere with your circadian rhythm? Meaning, you might be up late at night, texting people, or you could be getting phone calls late at night, or you could be online at night, right? There's certain things that are really impeding our ability to have quality sleep and just a quality life in general.
I know there's been a elevation of younger people getting cancer, and there have been some theories that it's all of this disruption from screen time that Kids aren't sleeping. The first thing they're doing is checking their phones. They're constantly not relaxing because they're jumping on and off social media, that there's just no break, and that the eyes are getting all this strain, which is keeping the brain active. So it makes sense.
It does. It really does. And I think it's not just the kids. I think about us, like you get a text message at night, right? So those social and recreational activities, especially in the evening, that screen time that might push your bedtime out later, particularly among adolescents and young adults, but also for us, these behavioral patterns are things that are making it more challenging for us to stay in a routine, right? So I used to say, when I would coach people that were trying to manage their weight, I would say, hey, have your eating routine, right? If you're eating breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, that's your routine during the week. Have your eating routine match the same thing as you do on the weekend. And the reason for that is your body likes that consistency. Well, the same is true for sleep, right? If during the weekday you're going to bed at 10 and you're waking up at 6, then that's your normal routine. If on the weekend you're staying up till 1 and you're sleeping till 10, it's really disrupting that normal pattern or rhythm that you have, right? And a lot of people use the weekends to really catch up on their sleep, right? And so that's a big problem. So the social recreational activities are definitely a huge component for the causes of social jet lag, hence the name social jet lag, but also alarm clocks, right? So I'm not recommending you throw away your alarm clocks, but alarm clocks actually disrupt your natural sleep timing. It's an external force that wakes you up. I mean, we need them, especially if we need to wake up and perform for our job. But again, that may be an indication that you're not sleeping enough. I have this amazing internal clock. Like, I'm not saying I'm amazing, but I go to bed at 10 o'clock. Like, I'm asleep by 10 and I'm up like before 6, maybe like quarter 6, 5:30, quarter 6. But my husband laughs because even if we're watching a TV show and it's going to go, he'll say, honey, it's going to go a little past 10. I say, oh, I'll be fine, honey. He'll look over like right at 10 and I'm like out. Right? Doesn't matter what doesn't matter what it is. But I just have this clock that sort of says she's got to go to sleep, she's got to wake up. And that really helps me. And my weekends are very much the same. Like, I'm not out wild partying Saturday nights. I try really hard to stick with that routine. And that routine is something of particular importance, especially when it comes to cancer, right? We so many things are disrupting our world when we're in treatment for cancer, or even if we're post-treatment for cancer, or if we're caring for somebody that has cancer. Our stress level is high. We feel emotionally exhausted. We need that restoration time that we're getting in sleep.
I've always admired how you eat on a schedule. And we always joke that I could be having lunch at 9 o'clock at night. But I have been really trying to keep to a food schedule and have smaller meals so that I can manage it, because just managing food intake, healthy food intake, when you are not more regimented in a schedule is really difficult.
It is. It's really hard. And actually, that's going to be another podcast we're going to do on chrononutrition, which is eating in accordance with your circadian rhythm. I love that topic. And so we will definitely dive into that, at some point. But I think for today, the social jet lag focus and understanding what's causing it, I think understanding the causes is half the battle, because then we can take our hand away from the flame, right? So we know that the social stuff is problematic. We know that the alarm clocks, if we're not getting enough rest, could be an issue. But what about your schedule, your work schedule?
I think we have to define circadian rhythm or circadian clock, because that could be a term that people aren't used to.
Yeah, the biological clock that controls our physiology, right? So you actually have your own internal clock that sort of is driven by the light and darkness that happens externally. It's also driven by many of the physiological factors that happen in your body, right? So it's really something that you're born with, right? It's a rhythm. It does get disrupted by work and school schedules. So I used to work 7 at night till 7 in the morning in an ICU as a nurse with constant stress. And boy, did that mess with my rhythm, because really I was going to bed when it was light and I was going to work when it was dark. And those were sort of opposites of what I should be doing, right? And so the late shifts that people are doing are definitely disrupting their circadian rhythm that can lead to inflammation. Now, it doesn't mean if you're working a night shift that, oh my gosh, I'm going to get sick. That's not what I'm saying. It means that we need to be aware of the impact that this is having on our natural rhythms of our body. And we need to work with our body. That mismatch between the biological and the local time, we need to find a way to balance that.
Jacqui, I can't help but tell a few jokes that you inspire, because you really do get up at the crack of dawn. And this is true. Like, she keeps to this incredible schedule. And I thought of you and I saw this joke. What time does a duck wake up?
I don't know. What time does a duck wake up?
The quack of dawn.
That is cute. That is really cute.
Dumb. But when I wake up, at dawn, I think of that joke. I know it's so dumb, but it just makes me laugh. I'm like, oh, I woke up at the quack of dawn. Tomorrow, you're going to hear that joke in your head. You watch.
I know. That's almost as bad as the knick-knack paddywhack song you were singing.
I know it's disruptive, but I just think funny thoughts. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to share them, even though they're dumb.
The things you say actually stay with me, not just during the podcast, but like the rest of the day. I'll be at dinner and in my head, I'm like, knick-knack paddywhack, give the dog a bone.
All right, I have to give you one more just because this whole time I'm hearing these in my head. And look, I have a 24-hour laugh line, and the kids call these in and they make me laugh. But if you don't know, the Comedy Cures Foundation has a free laugh line, which is 1-888 ha, 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 ha. And if you press 1, there's a pro comic. If you press 2, it's just like a kid or a family knock knock joke. And if you press 3, 24 hours a day, well, don't do 24 hours a day, because then you're going to be screwing up your circadian rhythm. Okay, during normal hours. Look at me. I was encouraging you to call me 24 hours a day. I'm missing the point of the podcast. Okay, so here's another one, and then I'll stop. What do you call a rooster that crows every morning?
I have no idea.
An alarm clock.
Just cute. That ties in perfectly. We're talking about the causes, right? So we talked about the social obligations. We talked about the alarm clocks. We talked about the challenging work schedules. I used to work for a medical company. I've had a million different jobs. I worked the night shift as a nurse, but then I used to work for a medical company. I used to have to travel a lot. And I have to get up at crazy hours in order to get to appointments on time. And that definitely disrupted my rhythm. The one thing about the nighttime social stuff is that exposure to artificial light, particularly that blue light that's coming from all your electronic devices, that actually suppresses the melatonin production from the pineal gland, which is in your brain. You'd have a lot of fun with that word, pineal gland, wouldn't you, Sam?
I was just going to say, you have to explain that. You have to break that down, Jacqui.
The pineal gland is in your brain. It is a gland that actually produces melatonin, which is helpful for sleep. And when we have blue light from electronic devices in the evening hours, that actually suppresses the production of melatonin and can impede your sleep. It delays your ability to fall asleep. It makes you go to bed later at night. And it's really something that can impact that rhythm that we were talking about. So just understanding that your lifestyle behaviors can have an impact on this rhythm that we're talking about. And while you might be experiencing social jet lag now, it doesn't mean you have to have it all the time, right? I mean, you could be somebody that has a late chronotype, and a late chronotype is someone that is a night owl, right?
Are you looking at me, Jacqui, right now?
I'm looking at you, Saranne. These are people that are naturally, their internal clocks are just naturally delayed, right? They They accumulate sleep at different hours, and they sometimes compensate for this by sleeping on the free days. But this type of behavior can actually lead to this misalignment. And there was a study I looked at that said that over 70% of the people experience at least 1 hour of social jet lag per week, especially if you have the evening chronotypes. And those individuals are the ones that have the biggest challenges with this problem. So it's definitely something for us to pay attention to.
I'm going to rename the problem circadian rhythm and blues.
Oh, I like that. I like that. That's really cute. So you and I just talked about the causes, right? We talked about that you might be a night owl. It could be that you're got the blue lights, your alarm clock, your social commitments, that kind of stuff. But what are the health implications, right? So that's really what I care about. So, so what? I've got social jet lag. Well, we know that it can lead to psychiatric issues, right? So mental health issues such as mood disorders or depression and anxiety. There have been several studies done on that. Obesity. I think everybody kind of knows that lack of sleep is connected to obesity, but the studies have also associated social jet lag with the inability to follow a healthy diet. Because what do we do when we're tired, right? We go and we grab, food, like often carby, sugary foods. We have a disruption in our hunger and fullness hormones, which are really important. And then we get into difficulty with chronic illnesses like type 2 diabetes or heart disease because we start having insulin resistance. So it's definitely a problem for long-term health. I mean, an occasional social jet lag here and there is not probably going to cause all these problems, but ongoing social jet lag, definitely a problem.
I definitely see when I stay up late that when I wake up the next morning, I'm puffy, whether it's my
Yeah.
face, my stomach, and it goes away over the day. But there's such a difference in my skin and how inflamed I am based on what time I go to sleep.
I don't think I've ever seen you puffy.
I have a thinning filter on my computer. No, I don't. I just kidding.
Wait, what button is that on Zoom? I gotta find.
It's my social jet lag button.
Oh, it's funny. I was laughing because I was talking to my mom and I was saying to her, like, my mom has struggled with insomnia and my sister has, and even my father, like, it's sort of so many people in my life have
Look
struggled
at
with
you
insomnia.
telling tales. You just said I told a tale about my husband at the beginning. Look at you pointing the finger now.
They've all had like sleep issues. And, it was interesting because, recently we had some family stress stuff going on and I was not sleeping well for like 2 weeks. And man, did that impact my performance. I had a couple of big presentations I was doing and I was dragging myself to these events. And hopefully I pulled off a good performance for people. But I will tell you, it is really, really challenging to perform and be the best version of yourself when you're exhausted, right? Or when you're out of balance. So I think that's really something for us to think about, right? So if we know that there's these health conditions associated with them, and all of them are related to inflammation, even your puffiness you were talking about, right? We know that this social jet lag is connected to inflammation. There is a trickle-down effect that can lead to chronic illness. So what do we do about it, right? I think that's probably the big thing that we want to think about. You can actually work to bring in extra light or natural light into your day. I think that's a really helpful thing for us to try to do. I know that just getting outside is really beneficial. That natural light will help regulate that circadian rhythm that we talked about. It is, like 0 degrees here in New Hampshire. So, I do try to get outside and just even get the sunlight on my face for a little bit just to really help my body stay in balance. I do find that staying active is really beneficial. So regular physical activity is going to be something that will probably help you wind down and sleep. You just don't want to do it too close to bed, right? So the movements and activities that you would do close to bed would be more the calming exercises like yoga or deep breathing activities. Even my husband and I just started doing Tai Chi. which is kind of fun and a very interesting martial art to learn for sure. And then also being very mindful of your eating and drinking habits. And that's actually that will be a lead in to our next podcast, which is going to talk about chrononutrition. I think that's a really good topic, but it really deserves a podcast of its own. But if you are eating heavy meals before bed or drinking alcohol or having caffeine, these are definitely going to disrupt your sleep patterns for sure.
I'm also going to throw in there chocolate and dessert because of the sugar and the caffeine that you find. And you know me, I love my little bit of dark chocolate after I eat, just that little piece of dark chocolate with no sugar, a little bit of sugar in it. But I started to notice because of these episodes with Jacqui that the stimulant in the chocolate from the caffeine was actually kicking me up, getting me alert. And so I've really tried to watch when I have that last little piece of chocolate.
Yeah, I can't eat chocolate before bed. Like, I just can't. I mean, and I will have like a little cocoa nibs and a plant-based yogurt or something with no added sugar. But earlier in the day, I just can't have it close to bed. I mean, I do think, we sort of talked about getting the light, getting the activity, avoiding heavy meals, but, sticking with a consistent sleep routine is really one of the most important things that you can do. And I fight for my routine. Like I really, really try. Like my husband and I, if we get, caught up in a good TV series or something, and he's like, oh, we can do just one more. And I'm like, no, I just can't. Like I know that how I'll feel the next morning. And I encourage people to keep a journal, right? Like if you have a good night's rest, think about how good you feel, because once you attach a behavior to a feeling, it fuels your motivation. That's one of the things I do in my practice when I talk to people. Like we really, when you start feeling good, that becomes the fuel to motivate you to stay the course.
I was going to say, I should send Mark over to you and you send Mike over to me, because I am that one more episode girl. And Mark is like, I have to go to sleep. He is so regimented about that 10 o'clock time. I'm trying. I am really trying. The other thing I wanted to add was don't get fooled by tea. Because you like that little bit of tea at night, you have to watch the caffeine level. And now they started putting little notes on the back of the box that will say, high caffeine level, low caffeine level. But even the herbal teas can sometimes whipsaw you with caffeine. So just make sure you're not having stimulating tea going towards the bedtime hours.
I think making sure you know what you're putting in your body. And also going back to the husband swapping idea.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's a whole nother podcast.
We're going to do
Jacqui's so red. She's laughing so hard. It's so funny.
We should probably run this by our husbands before we do the swap.
There's a TV show we could sign up for. Mike would run back to you so fast because he's a former military guy and Jacqui's regimented. I would drive Mike crazy.
I'm laughing because, he's so funny because like I talked to him this morning. He's away right now. And I said, honey, I talked about you on the podcast. And he's like, what did you say? And it was the freezing episode, the cryo freezing we did episode, the podcast about the NAC. And it was just really funny. And so I was telling him I was talking about him, but he's like, why am I always your material? And now wait till I tell him, Saranne proposed a husband swap.
Oh my God, he would faint.
Oh. Okay, we're getting off the husband swapping and we're going to finish talking about what we can do. The consistent sleep schedule or routine we talked about, just try winding down at night. Create that relaxing bedtime routine. Saranne knows this and I've talked about it before. Like I love a magnesium soak before I go to bed. You can use Epsom salts. I have other products that are magnesium flakes that I absolutely love. And magnesium is that relaxing mineral. It seeps into your muscles. It helps with muscle aches and pains. but it also gives you topical absorption of magnesium, which can be great for relaxing and sleep. It's good for bone health. I mean, there's a lot of great benefits to it for sure.
We have to do that episode just all about what you could soak in. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, we could soak in. We could do that one for sure. I'll have to do a little more research on that. But I'm sure chocolate would have been one of yours to soak in. Is that true?
100%. I would love a chocolate soak. That'd be so fun.
Okay. So going back to the routine, I said magnesium soaks. That works for me. Some people really enjoy reading before bed. That's one. I actually sometimes like just listening to music, really soothing music. Music to me transports me to another time, and I really enjoy that. So finding what works for you is really most important. But today, I think was more about just creating a level of awareness. Ask yourself these questions. Do I have social jet lag? Am I tired? Do I feel like I'm dragging myself out of bed? And then what can I do about it? What are some of the behaviors that I can implement that could improve my situation? Can I put my phone down 2 hours before I go to bed? Can I eat my dinner a little bit earlier and not have a nighttime snack? Could I get outside and get some more fresh air and a little bit of sunlight and even be more active? And I love hearing from people. Saranne shares with me everything that you guys send to her. So if you're doing something that's working, can you let me know? Because I love to hear from you.
I also think this idea of really creating a self-care schedule is so fun. And so many of the episodes really give you great ideas of how to improve self-care. But I'm going to do this, Jacqui. I'm going to sit down and look at what times of the day I have more energy, I have less energy. But you know me, I'm like an Energizer bunny, like 150% all the time. And I don't even drink caffeine. But I want to really look at it and then start scheduling around this. Be kinder to my being, my body. I think this is really encouraging.
Yeah, I do too. I love the idea of matching my sleep patterns and my lifestyle patterns with my natural clock, right? I feel that makes me feel whole, right? And I am a whole person practitioner, right? So I think it's an important part. And we're even going to probably, when we get into the podcast about the chrononutrition, talk about the impact this type of thing like social jet lag has on gut health and healing. And we know that a good chunk of our immune system is in our gut, and social jet lag wreaks havoc on the gut. And so that's the teaser for the next one.
We've been diagnosed so many decades ago with cancer. And if you never listened to the podcast, Jacqui's over 20 years. I'm over 30 years survivor. And I remember upon that diagnosis, how I reinvented myself. And I think that it's really important to try to do that before you even get the cancer diagnosis. So hopefully we don't get the cancer diagnosis. But there's so many learning opportunities if you have been diagnosed with cancer. And there's so many ways to change slowly. And that is the habit stacking episode that Jacqui did. If you want to go back and listen to that, it really teaches you how to start making these changes slowly. And they really do improve the quality of your day and improve the quality of your life. And that's what Beating Cancer Daily is all about. So I hope you listen to the more than 400 episodes. There's over 120 with Jacqui. It's such an honor to serve you wherever you are in the over 142 countries listening to us on a daily basis. So thank you, Jacqui, for giving us another beautiful episode. And I just want to thank you for listening wherever you are on the 7 continents that listen. If you want to learn more about the Comedy Cures Foundation, my story, go to comedycures.org. If you want to find the amazing Jacqui Bryan, then go to jacquibryan.com. If you can't find her website, that's really cool. You should find it. Come back to me at Comedy Cures, hit the contact menu, or hit the podcast section and record a message to us. As Jacqui said, we love hearing how you are using these episodes and your ideas so we can learn from you too. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow.
If you loved today's episode, then tell the world. Why? Because Beating Cancer Daily is a listener and donor supported experience. So the more people you tell and the more people that join us, the more robust and interesting programs our nonprofit, the Comedy Cures Foundation, can bring to you throughout the year. So if you have some extra change, I'd love you to go to comedycures.org and make a donation today of whatever level is comfortable for you. And it will be tax deductible to the extent allowed by law, because Comedy Cures is a nonprofit 501c3 organization founded from my chemo chair, April 1999, and we've been going strong ever since. So please consider making a donation today and help our community and this podcast thrive. Guess what time it is? It's time for me to read the disclaimer. Beating Cancer Daily and the membership circle are not in lieu of medical advice or treatment. They are for entertainment purposes only. Please consult your healthcare team to review your best strategy. Thanks for listening. See you guys tomorrow.